Well, I must confess to you that there are two things that I have always wanted to do, among many, but two biggies. And one was to learn French. So I took some time off and I did actually study, and je parle pas mal du tout. My vocabulary could be better. But I put the time in and I did it. And the other, I haven't put the time in yet, but I still have this dream, and that is the piano. You bet, oh. Well, I'll tell you, I am a rank, and the word is rank, beginner. I'm just doing scales and chords, just beginning to learn, but I still guard the hope that one day I can play. Now, there is nothing in this world that would compel me to reveal to all of you the limit of my skills at this piano, except for the fact that I'm nutso on songs, and there's a bunch of songs that aren't on my album that I'm dying to share with you. So, with that disclaimer in place, anything goes, and it won't matter. So let me set the mood. First of all, smoke cigarettes. 1931, Roger knows this too, I'm sure. I've got an expert in the house. You can correct me on anything I flub up here. In 1931, Ginger Rogers made her first full-length film, and it was called Young Man of Manhattan. And she played a really cute flapper who would run around the film saying, "Cigarette me, big boy. Let's have another cigarette, a puff or two or three with me. I'm in a sentimental sort of a mood. I wish that you'd agree with me. We'll blow a cloud of smoke up to the skies. The moon will get smoke in his eyes. We ought to say goodnight, and yet let's have another cigarette." Doesn't that make you long for the days before we knew that cigarettes were the Black Death, and that drinking is almost as bad? It's really a bore. You know, every time I open the Times, there's a new story about somebody causing trouble with cigarettes. I mean, like that couple that lived above two smokers, and they sued them about the secondhand. And did you hear about the actress? Carol, you're in the theater. You didn't hear about the Long Wharf? Well, there was an actress at the Long Wharf Theater, and she was in the middle of the play. I mean, the audience was seated, and she was in the middle of a monologue, and she played a chain-smoking character. And this guy gets up out of the audience, and he walks down the stage hollering, "You can't do this! You're ruining your health! You've got to stop this!" Well, what he stopped was the show. You know? But guess what? The playwright rewrote the character, and now she drinks more and smokes less. And she was only smoking herbal cigarettes to begin with, so I don't know. But it bring back the good old days. And I'm not the only one that has this nostalgia for the past, because have you heard that they're going to try to make a sequel to Casablanca? Now, how are they going to do that without cigarettes? I can't figure it. I mean, talk about the old days. Do you remember Paul Henreid, when he would put 2 cigarettes in his mouth, light them both, and give one to Betty Davis? I mean, he pioneered the whole field of cigarette sex. And there are a gazillion number of songs that were written about cigarettes in the 30s and 40s. I mean, it had huge metaphorical possibilities. We're much more explicit today. But I brought some of the sheet music with me. They're only Xeroxes, unfortunately, but this is the one I'd like to do for you. It sort of sets up the whole concept of these songs. Love is like a cigarette. Love is like a cigarette. You know you held my heart aglow between your fingertips. There it is. You went to it. Love seemed to fade away and leave behind ashes of regret. Then with a flip of your fingertip, it was easy for you to forget. Oh, love is like a cigarette. Is that too much? much. I love it. Well, I brought some other sheet music with it, because I'm not just kidding. There are a gazillion of these. This is, and then, too bad the Xeroxes aren't better. I bet you have the originals, Roger. This one is called My Cigarette Lady, and Rudy Valley himself wrote the words. And I love this one. One cigarette for two they shared. And that's sweet. And then here's A Story of Two Cigarettes. And here's one called While a Cigarette Was Burning. Actually, this is very pretty. While a Cigarette Was Burning. So I'll just do a little of that one. While a cigarette was burning, my heart was burning too. A smoke ring for your finger I fashioned in the blue. Isn't that pretty? It's a shame they're all yesterday's gardenias. I mean, these songs are dead, believe me. they are not coming around again. Do I hear applause there? Well, of course, eventually the inevitable infidelity with the cigarettes. Two cigarettes in the dark. Soft lights and clinking of glasses. Casually, I drift outside. I have a strange premonition when all of a sudden I spied two cigarettes in the dark. He strikes a match and the spark clearly traces one face is my sweetheart. It's a shame, isn't it? Now this one's an interesting. I told you I'm going to sing every one of them. Actually, I do have a director who says no, no, 50 is not a good idea. But I'll give you a name. So here we are. This is an interesting song because it recently showed up in the title credits of the film by Jack Nicholson, Two Jakes. Film didn't do so well, but everybody loved the song. It's the original version by Peggy Lee, and it's by Willard Robison. I left a note on his dresser and my old wedding ring with these few goodbye words. Goodbye, old sleepyhead. I'm packing it in like I said. Take care of everything. I'm leaving my wedding ring. Don't look for me. I'll get ahead. Remember, darling, don't smoke in bed. I love that. I really love that. Hey, don't smoke in bed. These days you can't even smoke indoors. Have you seen all those people outside real fast getting a fast fix on their cigarettes? I tell you.